And if you think about when we grew up, it wasn't a conversation. Nobody talked about mental illness. Nobody talked about what was wrong with aunts or uncles or grandmas or grandfathers or even moms and dads or sisters and brothers. It just was not a conversation that people had. You kept it closed. And so the whole point of this campaign in the No Matter What You Matter is to say to people, you matter, and it's okay to have the conversation. It's okay to say, how are you doing? And when people say, I'm not doing okay, now is the time to say, how can I help?
What can I do?
Yeah.
Right. I think about it in like when you're walking down the street, you bump into somebody, you encounter somebody on the street, and you always say, oh, how are you doing? Mm-hmm. You don't care what their answer is. You're a block past them once you realize that, oh, did they even respond? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like we need to make sure that we're there for the follow-up moments.
We are accountable for our circle. And sometimes we're accountable for people outside of our circle if we know that something is going on, or maybe there's been a death in the family, or maybe there's just been a shift in appearance or a shift in conversation that you didn't pick up on before, or maybe something is different. And it's just a matter of taking that step back and thinking, okay, maybe it's about something more than just they're having a bad day.
If you have somebody who is constantly giving a certain appearance or a certain scale, they present themselves in a certain way, and they're not necessarily meeting that same criteria that you're used to, then that to me is a sign.
There's part of me that says mental illness is no different than heart disease. You go to the doctor if you have a problem with your heart, and everybody says, oh, well, go see the cardiologist. And so this partly is about mental illness. It's a disease. It's not anything that has happened to you, it's a part of you, but it doesn't have to define you. And so being able to then say, I have this disease and I need to be treated. And maybe it shows up in anxiety, maybe it shows up in depression, maybe it's bipolar disorder. But left untreated, that's when things can become to a level at which then people start to self-medicate, or they start to fall away from activities. And that's the point where our agency can step in and be that support and wrap around not only the person but also the family members. I think what people don't understand more than anything is that it's affecting everyone. And so when situations like those obituaries are written and it's sort of minimized, then I think it doesn't bring that connection in the community. What we've been able to see, especially in the last couple of years, is that the more that we are talking about it as an agency, the more that people are reaching out for help. So maybe the stigma has not shifted in terms of the needle moving in a great direction one way or the other, but the community is more aware of resources, and the community is reaching out. And every time that there's a presentation in the community, one of the things that I say is, think about how many times you talk about the football scores and how many times you talk about how your kid's doing on the baseball field. Who's taking the time at that cocktail party to say, how's your child doing with their mental health, or how is your child doing in treatment? You never will quite grasp what the sort of the sphere of influence that has been touched by suicide is. And especially when we know that the highest level of suicide is in adult men. And so then, there's children, there's brothers, there's sisters, there's mothers, there's fathers, there's friends. And when you look at something like a college campus or a high school, there's hundreds of children, some who may never come forward, and who may be dealing with it very quietly internally, or some that maybe won't deal with it right then and there, but 5 years down the line, for whatever reason, something has happened where they say, oh my gosh, this has affected me and I didn't even realize it all these years.
One of the things that I think has changed in our community is For All Seasons is talking about it more. The community as a whole is talking about it more. And I know that for myself, people know about my involvement with For All Seasons, and I can count on one hand in the last couple of months the number of people that have come to me with personal advice that they need for themselves. They know somebody, and they know that I'm connected enough to give them a number to call. So there are people that are reaching out to the agency itself, and then there are people going, okay, I'm not quite there, but I'm I am comfortable enough to come to you, so I'm cluing somebody into my struggle.
Yeah, so one of the things that we do with the money is we're kicking off on October 5th, and the money that is raised through the No Matter What You Matter campaign in partnership with the Easton Business Alliance and the businesses and restaurants in town is that that money will help secure same-day crisis appointments for the community. And that's a really important thing for us as an agency to be able to say to someone, if you're in crisis, we recognize that crisis can't wait 5 days. And really being able to say that we can get folks in who are being affected indirectly or directly by suicide and being able to assist the community for both therapy appointments and also then referrals with our medical team.